Anybody on? Is anybody on this line right now?
Yes, we're here, Vice Mayor.
Okay, Mario is on. Mario, this Vice Mayor Harris. I'm on another Zoom meeting. I just wanted
Yes,
to
we're
check
here,
if this one was on.
Vice Mayor.
Okay, Mario is on.
Okay, we're on.
Mario, this Vice Mayor Harris. All right, Mario on.
Mario.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure it was you.
Okay.
All right, I call to order the June 3rd meeting of the Miami Garden City Council. Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilwoman Odom,
Here.
Councilwoman Wilson, Councilman Iguodaro,
Yeah, I got it.
Councilwoman Wilson,
Here.
Councilman Leon,
Here.
Councilman Williams, Vice Mayor Harris,
I'm present.
Mayor Gilbert.
I'm here.
You have a quorum.
All right, please rise for invocation and pledge of allegiance. Bow your head. God, our Father, in times such as this, we petition your grace and your guidance, your love and your protection. Heavenly Father, Lord and Savior, Please keep us in your will and your way. Order our steps. Protect us from dangers seen and unseen, known and unknown. Cover this entire community, cover this entire country with your love. Make us better. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
United
America
States of America, and to the republic
for which it stands,
And
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Okay. Now we are on to approval of minutes. Mr. Clerk, do we have minutes?
Yes, sir, we do have minutes. They were submitted as part of the agenda.
All right, I need a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. We're going to approve them in bulk. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, show the minutes approved. Show Councilman David Williams is present, please, Mr. Kirk.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're now on to the order of business for today. Order of business for today. Any
Mr. Mayor?
additions or deletions? Okay, I'm a little confused. I'm going to. Are the add-on items substitute items or the add-on items additional items for the items that are already on here? Mr. Williams, you're gonna have to unmute yourself. Okay, somebody unmute Mr. Williams.
Okay, there are substitute items. The add-on items are substitute.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna substitute these two items in for the items that they're replacing on the agenda, but then I'm going to pull them off consent because I have questions on them. So what number would those be, Mr. Clerk?
Those numbers would be item 12.1 and 12.2.
12.1 and 12.2, but which items are we removing from the consent agenda?
We'll be removing items 11.3 and 11.2, 11.2, 11.3.
Okay, so show these added to the agenda and show 11.2 and 11.3 removed from the agenda. All right, anything else? Anything else? I need a motion on the agenda.
Motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, show the agenda approved. There is a feedback. Okay, well, everybody got their right names and we could talk to each other and see each other. So we're just gonna count that as a win. Shout out to Mark and Cam and everybody else. Okay, where are we at now, Mr. Clerk? We're on special presentation of which there are none. Public comments. What do we have for public comments?
We didn't have any pre-registered public comments.
Oh, okay.
And there are no hands raised.
There are no hands raised. All right, seeing no public comment. Public comment is now closed. We're now on, there's no ordinances for first reading. There are no ordinances for second reading. We're now on to the consent agenda. Mr. Clerk.
Item 11.1, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, urging Miami-Dade County Mayor Carlos Jimenez and the Board of the County Commissioners of Miami-Dade County, Florida, to transfer coronavirus aid relief and economic security care Act directs federal funds received by Miami-Dade County to the city and to other units of local government within the county based on population and rates of COVID-19 cases, provided for adoption or rotation, provided an effective date, and this is sponsored by Mayor Albert Gilbert. Item 11.4, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating the sum of $2,000 from Councilman David Williams Jr.
Think we've lost Mario.
Mario.
No, go ahead, Mario. Start reading that one over again.
Okay. You hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, item 11.4, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating the sum of $2,000 from Councilman David Williams Jr. accounts, $1,000 from Public Affairs, and $1,000 from the Special Events account to support the 4th annual Honoring Women in Law Enforcement event, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilman David Williams Jr. Item 11.5, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, directing the city manager to expedite building permits for businesses that are completing renovations to their facilities in order to safeguard the health and welfare of their employees and customers against COVID-19, providing for adoption representation, providing for directions to the city manager, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilwoman Katrina Wilson. Item 11.6, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorizes the city manager and the city clerk to execute and attest respectively that memorandum of understanding with Miami-Dade County Parks and Recreation and Open Spaces Department for a sponsorship change for Rolling Oaks Park, providing for instructions to the city clerk, providing for the adoption of representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by city manager. Item 11.7, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorizing the city manager to issue a purchase order to Superior LLC for the renewal of the Police Department Public Safety software in the amount of $232,595.62 for this purpose, providing for the adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.8, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, awarding the 3rd renewal of invitation to bid number 16-17-034, right-of-way landscape maintenance to Weed Away Inc., authorizing the city manager to issue purchase orders as needed for this purpose, providing for the adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.9, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, accepting the fiscal year 2018-2019 annual audit report from the city's auditor, Anthony Brunson, PA, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.10, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, approving a change order with RGN Enterprises, DBA Cool Water Air Conditioning Landscape for Betty T. Ferguson Recreation Center Havoc Unit Replacement, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.11, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorizes the city manager to issue purchase orders to Tran US Inc. in an amount not to exceed $513,860 for the purpose of Havoc units by relying upon U.S. Communities and Hartford Public Schools contract number 15-JLP-023, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.12, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, ratifying the city manager's authorization of a change order to Horizon Electronics for the repair of the fire alarm system at Betty T. Ferguson Recreation Center in the additional amount of $7,470, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.13, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, awarding RFQ 19-20-012 Risco Park Construction Manager at risk to Kaufman Lynn Construction, authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute a contract for this purpose, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.14, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, adopting rules and procedures for the City of Miami Gardens quasi-judicial hearings conducted through communication media technology, non-proton, to May 1st, 2020, authorize the city manager to take any and all measures reasonable and necessary to implement this purpose, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city attorney. Item 11.15, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, amending the lease agreement with New Urban Development for the construction of a senior housing on city-owned property generally located at the northwest corner of Northwest 12th Avenue and Northwest 183rd Street, attached here to is Exhibit A in substantial form, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager, and that is your consent agenda.
I need a motion on the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Show the consent agenda approved. We're now on to the items that were pulled. Mr. Clerk.
Item 12.1, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating funds from Councilman David Williams Jr. Special Affairs account in an amount not to exceed the sum of $2,000 non-proton to support the Miracle in the Gardens event, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilman David Williams Jr.
Hey, Mr. Williams, I'll move the item for discussion, and I pulled it. First, Mr. Ighodaro, your camera is sideways. and I'm gonna be the only one who's gonna tell you that, but you need to change like this because you're actually, yeah. So that probably is a better, that's what you want to do right there. Okay. Mr. Williams, I just had questions about this. You know, I've always supported the events. I still support the events. The problem is we're not having events. And so I don't know, are these virtual events? Are you just buying awards and delivering them? What's?
These are virtual events.
Okay. I
And
just
some of these awards were purchased before this even started. This is an extension of the science fair from December.
Well, no, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure this was virtual and not in person because I didn't want to inadvertently. Okay.
No.
I've moved the item. I've second.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the item signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, short adopted. The next item, please.
All right, item 12.2, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating funds from Councilman David Williams Jr. Special Events Account in an amount not to exceed the sum of $2,000 non-pro ton to support the David Williams Jr. Science Award event, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilman David Williams Jr.
That was my same question. It's a virtual
Same
event?
thing, virtual.
Okay. I move the item.
Second.
Second,
All right, all those in favor? Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, show the item adopted.
All right, we are now on to quasi judicial hearing items, gender disclosure.
Okay. Here we go. We are now on the quasi-judicial portion of our agenda. All quasi-judicial hearings have been noticed in the same manner and at the same locations that quasi-judicial hearings are typically noticed. All exhibits for any hearings were to be provided to the city clerk 5 business days prior to the hearing. All exhibits will be displayed on the Zoom platform during the hearing. The names of all witnesses who will be called by any party were to be provided to the city clerk 5 business days prior to the hearing as outlined in the notice. At the beginning of the hearing, the city clerk shall call each witness by name before each person speaks in order to swear each person in. Establish the identity of the witness on the record and obtain witness consent for the hearing to be recorded. Any witness who wishes to testify during the hearing and is not included in the previously provided witness list shall be sworn in after all witnesses on the list are sworn in. All witnesses providing testimony must appear by video conference. A computer with Zoom capabilities has been provided for those who wish to testify as a part of the hearing but do not have the ability to remotely participate in the hearing by video. I will allow for public comment using Zoom after the parties have concluded the presentation of their cases and presented their witnesses, and before a vote is taken. All public comment shall be limited to 2 minutes. I will also allow for cross-examination of witnesses if requested by parties to the proceeding. In addition, I will request that the city clerk read any e-comments or emails sent in about the matter into the record. Please be advised that those comments standing alone are not sworn and do not qualify as competent substantial evidence on which the city council may rely. The applicants today have been given the opportunity to have a hearing on their application when the city commences regular quasi-judicial hearings, but have requested that they be given the opportunity to have a quasi-judicial hearing using this format. By submitting to this format, the applicant is waiving any objections to the fact that their hearing is being held using this format. To the applicants, do you all agree to this format? I need you to state this on the record. I guess they need to find you. Mr. Adler?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. We understand and we agree. Thank you very much.
Okay. At this time, any council members who need to make any disclosures can do so. All right. In case you all have forgotten, Jenny's disclosures is when you have gotten, people have talked to you about this and you need to say that you can still remain objective. I am certain that someone has talked to me about this item, and I know that I can still remain objective. Okay,
Yes, me as well, Mr. Mayor. I'm sure that someone has spoken to me in reference to this too, and I can remain objective as well.
okay. Anyone else? Okay. Mr. Clerk, please read the first ordinance. We don't do Nikisha first? Okay, Mr. Clerk, read the ordinance.
All right, item 13.1.1. An ordinance to the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, approving the application submitted by Centerpoint Owner LLC for the rezoning of the property located at 20775 Northwest 17th Avenue, Miami Gardens, Florida, more particularly described on Exhibit A, attached here to from R-25 multifamily dwelling residential to PD plan development, providing for adoption representation, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing a severability clause, providing for inclusion in code, providing an effective date. And this item was first deferred on March 11th, 2020. And this is sponsored by the city manager.
Okay. I'm going back to the script here. Okay, now the applicant makes a presentation. We don't need Nikisha.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I believe that Nikisha Smith was going to do her portion first.
I believe so too, but that's not the order they have it on my script, Brian. So, but Madam Attorney, what are we saying?
She can go ahead and do it first, doesn't matter, but.
Nikisha, do your draws judicial stuff for the whole hearing, please. Ms. Smith, thank you.
It's not, you know, different because we normally do the hearings, first script doesn't work for this, but look.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Smith.
Okay, can you guys see my screen? Can you see the presentation?
Yeah, we can see that.
Can see it? Okay, great. Okay, this item is the Centerport item. This is a rezoning from R25 multiple family to the proposed zoning district of PD plan development. The location of the project is 20775 Northwest 17th Avenue. Here you see an aerial map overview of the location of the project, just west of the Turnpike and east of the Calder Casino. This is the future land use map. As you can see, the project falls within the commerce land use category. Here we have a map showing the current zoning district, which is R25. It is a residential zoning district. These are images of the surrounding properties. To the north, we have a warehouse project. To the south, we have residential multifamily. And we also have residential multifamily located to the east and the west of the site. This is a picture showing the current images. These are conceptual elevations of the proposed project. So it will be similar to the warehouse project that is currently existing to the north of the site that we saw in the previous images. There was community outreach. We did have a community meeting with the Lake Lucerne Lifter Park Community Homeowners Association. That meeting was held on December 17th of 2019. In summary, the staff is recommending approval of the rezoning of this property from R25 multiple family dwelling residential to PD plan development. And that concludes the presentation from Planning and Zoning.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes. Hold on one second. Let me go back to the script here, Councilwoman. Okay. I think we need to let Mr. Adler go now. Yes, so before.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilwoman,
Yeah,
yeah,
you want him to go before I ask a question?
yes, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Adler,
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. It's a pleasure to virtually see everyone this evening. My name is Brian Adler with law offices at Bills and Sundberg, Dana Price, and Axelrod, 1450 Brickell Avenue, Suite 2300. I, along with my co-counsel Al Dotson Jr. from Bills and Sundberg, are representing Centerport Owners LLC, who are the owners and applicant for this evening. We're also joined virtually by 3 representatives and principals of Centerport Owner, which is Scott Helms. We've got David Metalonis and Clifton Coffey. And we're also joined this evening by Adrian Dubkowski from Kinley Horn. Kinley Horn are the traffic engineers and also the architects on the development. I know a lot went into trying to set up for this evening, so I do want to take an opportunity to thank you for allowing us to virtually appear. I know that there was a lot of adaptation and changes that were done to create a process, so I applaud the city and your city attorney and staff. I also want to thank your staff and the city manager for the time in proceeding with the application, as well as the numerous members of the community that have been involved over time. Ms. Smith gave you a background of the location of the property. So we're here with one item this evening, and that's a rezoning from R25 to PD. And tonight I'm going to talk about basically 3 items as it relates to this request. One is the history of the zoning and use of the property. The second is the proposed development in comparison to the existing zoning. And with that, we're going to have a brief presentation by Adrian Dubkowski, the traffic engineer. And the third is our client's continued and perpetual outreach to the neighborhood community. So the first item that I mentioned is the history of the use and the zoning of the property. And I want to go ahead and share my screen. I don't know if I have to get permission from the clerk to be able to do that.
go ahead. If you can, please, go ahead.
I think I may need permission to do that.
You can? You can go ahead and do it now. They said you should be allowed to do it now. Do you have to turn on your camera to share your screen?
My camera is on. Do you not see me at this point?
No, we just see your name.
Okay. I did join with video, so I'm trying to see why it did not allow it. It's not allowing me to show the video.
It's gonna allow me to actually turn his camera on. I don't think he's doing video. He might have to go right out.
Okay, Mr. Adler, let me just go ahead and suggest you just describe it to us.
Sure, and I've actually given some of the exhibits in the presentation, and for the people that are attending virtually, I don't know if it's something, Nikisha, that you're able, because I know you're able to share your screen. I provided, but let me go to the history of the property. So the property is zoned R25, as Nikisha noted. Now, prior to the city's incorporation in 2003, the property was under the county's jurisdiction, right? So most newly incorporated cities, what they do is they take the zoning maps from the county and they look at those zoning maps, and when they create their new zoning categories, they essentially match those categories to their item. So this property was zoned RU4L. RU4L allowed 23 units per acre, and I'm just going to see if I can. It's not going to let me. Okay. So the property was zoned RU4L, which allows 23 units per acre. The city created a category R25 that allows 25 units per acre. So it was the closest category to the RU4L. And so that's what the city did for this, and basically most properties in the city. They matched what was existing on the zoning maps to what was to their new categories. But with regard to this property, it's different. And why is it different? This property, while zoned RU4L and zoned in nature as RU4L, was actually not a residential property, but as recognized in your staff report, has been used for non-residential purposes for at least 45 years. So the property's approvals date back to 1974. And I give you the date because that date is important as it relates to the way that things were approved back then versus how they would be approved today. That was prior to the Growth Management Act, and it was also prior to a lot of the case law that established use variances and what was required for use variances. In 1974, they granted a use variance to permit stables and other non-residential uses, horse care centers, barns, paddocks, groom quarters, but also vets, offices, and operating rooms. Today, neither in the county nor in the city would that be permitted as a use variance. That would generally be a rezoning. So had they done it initially, they would have rezoned the property in 1974 to a non-residential use. In 1974, when they granted that use, and part of your package is a 1974 resolution where it granted at the very bottom a period of 10 years. So they only granted that non-residential use for a period of 10 years. 10 years later, in 1984, they actually went back to hearing and they lifted that temporal time frame limitation and made it so that the property then was perpetually used for non-residential uses. Not only did they get rid of the time limitation, but they added additional uses, including equestrian exercise tracks, swimming pools, barns, and additional office uses. So thank you, Mr. Dotson has been able to share that. So this is the resolution. Because it was an older 1974 resolution, it was harder to see, but you can, so I did send it to you separately for utilization. But this details that it was a use variance, and I think your staff and city attorney will tell you that use variances today would not be granted generally for these types of uses, but they require generally a rezoning. Here in 1984, again, they removed they changed the plan, and so they added additional items, and then they also got rid of the 10-year time limitation, which is the next paragraph. So what today's request is to rezone the property from R25 to PD is actually to make it consistent with the way that it was utilized for the last 45 years and how it would have been rezoned had the laws evolved at the time that they were originally done, that it was originally approved. The second, so that's the history of the zoning and land use. So again, the city created a map, just went to the zoning, but it was really only residential in name, not in use. The next thing I said I was going to mention was our site plan.
Hey, Mr. Atwood,
Yes.
I appreciate that you started 40 years ago, but I need you to make this relevant for the council.
Okay.
Sort of.
I'll move a little quicker. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate it. We do have a site plan. It's not before you this evening. It is being reviewed by staff. That site plan has extensive buffers to the residential areas to the south and to the west. To the south, it's got about 160-foot setback from the south property line. The south property line will have a 6-foot wall, triple staggered trees. To the west, it's about 105 feet, but plus the roadway, it's about 160 feet also from that property. So again, while the site plan is not before you, we have it is before staff right now, and we have and those buffers that I've mentioned are illustrated on the site plan. The property currently zoned is R25. That allows today for 314 residential units. We are sticking with the height limitation that would normally be within the R25 zoning district, so we're going no higher than would be permitted in the R25. But there's permitted 341 residential units. Adrian Dubkowski, who's a traffic engineer, conducted a traffic analysis, and that traffic analysis was submitted not only to the city, but also has to get approved by the county. And so Adrian Dubkowski can briefly tell you his findings with regard to that. Mr. Clerk, if you can let Adrian have the mic as well.
Good evening, Adrian Dubkowski with Kimley Horn offices at 600 North Pine Island Road in Plantation, Florida. We prepared a trip generation statement that was submitted to the city as well as Miami-Dade County. Miami-Dade
Sorry, hold
County
on,
has,
Adrian. These are all witnesses. Mr. Clerk, were they supposed to be sworn in?
Yeah, we're gonna be swearing them individually as they get on to get their consent to also record as well. So can I go ahead and proceed with swearing them in?
Yeah.
All right, this is Adrian, right? Adrian, may I have
Yes.
the full name for the record, please?
Adrian Dubkowski.
All right, do you swear and affirm that the testimony you provide tonight is true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Do you give the city consent to record you as part of this quasi judicial hearing?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
So we had prepared a trip generation statement, which is essentially a level 1 traffic study through Miami-Dade County. They have since approved the traffic study. And what we also did as part of this was to prepare a trip generation comparison. And I will try to share my screen. Well, nonetheless, we compared the 341 multifamily units to the 244,000 square feet of warehousing space, which we're currently proposing. And in that comparison, it results in a reduction in over 1,300 daily trips, a reduction of 58 a.m. peak hour or morning rush hour trips, and 85 p.m. peak hour trips. So what this is showing is that the proposed warehouse is a lot less intense from a traffic standpoint than the 341 multifamily units would be if those were being proposed and moved forward with. And Brian, I guess back to you.
All right, thank you. So the analysis basically, again, is that our current zoning allows 341 units, which actually from a traffic standpoint is a more intense use. What Ms. Smith pointed out was that we did hold a meeting in December 2019 with the Lake Lucerne community. But that doesn't give the whole picture. Before filing our application, before the rezoning, before our clients actually even owned and acquired the property, representatives of our client reached out to the Lake Lucerne community. Not once, not twice, not 10 times, but before and throughout the entire process for well over a year. Our client learned through that process that additional ingress and egress to and from the Lake Lucerne community had been a long-standing priority of not only the community, but also of Mayor Gilbert and of County Commissioner Jordan. Centerport engaged on their own traffic and engineering professionals at that time and actively explored ways to try to assist the Lake Lucerne community in obtaining additional ingress and egress to and from the community. Centerport, along with my colleague Al Dotson and I, worked with Mayor Gilbert, with City Manager Benson, with city representatives, with County Commissioner Jordan, and county staff through many, many, many meetings over the last year or so at the city, at the County Commissioner's Miami Gardens office, district office, at her downtown office. When stay-at-home orders were issued, we didn't stop, the work continued. We continued our conference calls, and we worked extensively with the city, the county, and the other stakeholders in the area, including Calder, the stadium, and East Group. Some of these meetings had 30 attendees. Susan Smith from the Lake Lucerne Civic Association attended many of these meetings to ensure that the voice of the residents was always heard. I'm pleased that these efforts have resulted in an anticipated solution that's expected to provide relief to the community. The relief is proposed to be accomplished through combined efforts, again, of the city, the county, and the private stakeholders, Centerport, Calder, and East Group. The details are being finalized, but the access is anticipated through theoretical Northwest 280 Terrace. In your package tonight is a Okay, sorry, I had muted. In your packet tonight is a declaration of restrictions that does memorialize Centerport's contribution of $150,000 as part of its approvals. We attended the meeting that Ms. Smith mentioned. And again, I'm not going to speak for the association because I think Ms. Susan Smith is available to speak in support of the application. The community at the meeting had an opportunity to ask questions, to discuss, to be heard, and I believe we have the support of the association. Just in conclusion, your staff conducted a thorough review of the application. They analyzed it under the criteria of your comp plan, your code. They analyzed it for consistency. They reviewed the history of the property, the uses, and they recommended in favor of the application. The county reviewed the traffic analysis. They approved it for the application. And we worked extensively again with the community in excess of a year. And we look forward to the development moving forward, having the development go on the land and the improvements go on the city's tax roll. And with that, we're here for any questions. And again, I think Ms. Smith may be there to also provide support.
Okay, thank you. Do you all have any other witnesses?
No, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Okay, Madam Attorney, what's next? Okay, public comment is now open. Anyone wishing to make public comment, please raise your hand using the Zoom application.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just also wanted to note for the record, we didn't receive any written communication on this. Also, we have the commission chambers open for anybody from the public who wish to come in to make a comment. Nobody's downstairs as well too.
Okay. Who is it? Okay, I have a raised hand. You recognize Jennifer Noho?
Yes, my name is Jennifer Neyhofer, and I reside at 1731 Northwest 206th Street, Miami Gardens, Florida, 33056. My question is, with a complex, I live in the back right where they're trying to build. And I know that there was a meeting, I found out about it later on. Not a lot of people in the community know about a 314 unit family unit being built here in the back. I know there is talk about building a street on 208 Terrace, which is all the way in the front of the community. We need to have a way to be able to get out of the community with the plan that you have in mind now, not having to drive all the way to the front, but there has to be a way out to be able to exit this community from the back. Now we already have so much traffic and we are already backing up, and that the 208 Terrace is not going to work. How far is 208 Terrace from 27th Avenue? It's just one block. That's not a big help. And at the meeting, that was not well received. The people, there were voices who said that street on 208 Terrace will not work. That is question number one. Traffic is a big thing in Lake Lucerne. And even what was, yes.
Excuse me, excuse me, Mayor.
Yes.
I need to swear in the public comment.
Okay. Well, I think probably that horse left the barn, but go ahead.
Ms. Jennifer, do you swear and affirm that the testimony you provide this evening is true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir. To the best of my knowledge, I do. Yes.
And do you provide consent for the city to record you as part of this quasi-judicial hearing?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And also, the Lake Lucerne Crime Watch owners were not aware when these meetings were happening. Our voices were not heard at these meetings. They did not take into consideration the Lake Lucerne Crime Watch. We over here who talk about crime, who try to keep the community free of crime, they did not touch that element. And there are people in this community who have a problem with building in the back, and we don't have a way out in the back. So that is a big concern. A lot of them could not come on this call because they are elderly people, but I'm speaking for them. And that's my question. I want to know, traffic is a big issue. And we cannot depend on that little road on 208 Terrace to give residents exit and into this community to be able to go in and out of that little road 208. Look how far this apartment building is from 208 Terrace, 20775 Northwest 17th Avenue. That's in the back. We have Cedar Grove. We have the single family homes over here. We need more than that road on 208 Terrace to house 314 units. If there is already a building over there by the turnpike, what is the holdup in building an actual road that can give us an opportunity to exit from the back instead of depending only on an exit in the front? That is a danger for me. I live here in the back. I'm gonna have to deal with it. I'm already dealing with traffic, so I'm gonna deal with it. And nobody came to sit down and talk to the Lake Lucerne Crime Watch Prevention. Nobody took the time to do that. We have two organizations here. We have the Lake Lucerne, the homeowners organization, and we have the Crime Watch Prevention. Our voice as the Crime Watch Prevention was not heard.
I'm sorry,
Thank you.
Miss DeHove. Okay, because we're technically, doing things different here. That's been more than 2 minutes, so we get it. We got your point.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. And so I don't know, Madam Attorney, do we give them an opportunity to respond to that after we close public comment? Okay, after public comment closed. Okay, after public comment closed, we'll give them the right to respond to them. All right, Ms. Smith, I see that you're in the Q&A, but I'm not. Are you active on the call?
Can you hear me? I am.
Okay, you're Samari. Yes.
No, I am. Right, Sue Marie. Right, that's my screen name.
That's your club name. I understand, Ms. Smith.
Or whatever. Let me just speak, please, in regard to my support of Centerport.
Please let me let the clerk swear you in first.
I apologize. I thought
it's his fault. Go ahead, Ms. Clerk.
Ms. Smith, do you swear and affirm that the testimony you provide this evening is true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
And do you provide consent for the city to record you as part of this quasi-judicial hearing?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
First, Mayor and council members, let me thank you for this virtual meeting in terms of your wanting to make certain that the community is aware of what's going on. Let me just first speak with regard to a couple of the comments that Ms. Niehoff made. We reached out to the community via emails, flyers, and phone calls, so that we did meet. Lake Lucerne Civic Association is very, very much involved with the entire Lake Lucerne community, including that new home that Ms. Niehoff referred to. We did reach out to her. I do know that Ms. Niehoff was invited and several of the members of Crime Watch. However, everyone, I understood some weren't able to attend. But yes, Centerport gave us an excellent presentation. They reached out on several occasions to the community. We've met several times with the community. They've met several times with us. I personally and members of the community would much rather see Centerport as opposed to another development coming up in that area. The two developments that are there, no one from any of the developments reached out to the community as Centerport has done to make us aware of what their intentions were. Secondly, Centerport has been an integral part of making certain that another out is made available to the residents in the community. They were at the forefront of they were one of the first and at the forefront of making an offer to the county commission and residents about putting another access there. So yes, we have been working, Jennifer, with trying to get another access for the community. And again, Centerport has been very much involved with that. And they have been an integral part of and a very active part of that process. You know, I would rather see, and residents in this community would much rather see this Centerport building because of the traffic use, as opposed to another apartment dwelling, or even the homes. Even those new homes, Ms. Neal, where you live, the community was not given an opportunity to object to that. We were never given that opportunity.
Ms. Smith, Ms. Smith, a couple of things. First, probably direct all of your comments towards the dais and regarding the application. Second, your time is up. So if you could just wrap this up in the next 10 seconds.
My apologies.
You're good.
My apologies. Again, I'm very much in favor of Centerport, and they have gone well above the call of duty in terms of their efforts to make the community aware of what's going on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Smith. Are there any other comments, public comment? Okay, someone's raising, what's the telephone number? If your telephone number is ending in 740, I'm recognizing you for public comment.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Reeves.
Miss Mary Reeves, can you
Yes.
swear and affirm that the testimony you provide this evening is true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Do you provide consent to the city to record you as part of this quasi judicial hearing?
Yes.
All right, thank you. You may proceed.
Like I said again, good evening, and praying health and safety to all. I am in favor of the Centerport project. I feel it is a good fit for our community, and I do applaud them for at least reaching out to the community, and they were one of the few that did in our community prior to development just being forced upon us. They are to be commended, and I am in favor of the Centerport. Secondly, I need to know, this is public comment, correct? I needed some further information on the rental assistance program.
Miss, no, it's public comment on the quasi judicial forum.
Oh,
But
okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
Type your email address or your whole number in the question and comment. I'll have someone call you on the rental assistance program.
All right. Thank you so much. And y'all have a great evening and be safe. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anything else in public comment? Okay, public comment is now closed. I'm now going to give Mr. Adler a chance to address the questions that were presented that were antagonistic to approval. Mr. Adler, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very briefly, I'll address the comments. One of the items is there may have been a confusion. I think that Jennifer believes that we're proposing 341 units. That's actually what our current zoning allows. We are proposing to a warehouse development, as Mr. Dubkowski showed, will have substantially less traffic than the 341 units. There was also comment that at the neighborhood meeting that there were people objecting to 208th. Actually, at the meeting, there was a very much opportunity for people to ask questions. And with every meeting, some people started out with questions and they did have some certain concerns. Once we were able to address them, we believe that they were in full support. There was one person on the corner who did have some additional concerns. We reached out to her afterwards with regard to landscaping and other things. And I believe that she now, after our reach out, was in support. We left there believing that everybody was in support of our presentation when we were there. With regard to 208, we explored every option that we could. This is what we have right now, and we believe that that will provide significant relief for the community. So with that, and with the support of the Lake Lucerne community, we are requesting your approval for this evening.
Okay. Okay, I need a motion on this item so it can be discussed by council.
Motion.
It's been moved by the vice mayor. It's been seconded by Councilwoman Odom. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Comments from the dais. I believe that Councilwoman Odom, you had something earlier, so would you like me to recognize you now? Please unmute your computer. Okay, there you go.
Oh, I'm out. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I think my question has really already been answered, but I was concerned about the entrance and exit to this project in that particular area.
Yeah. I think that they probably have addressed that. Do you have any additional, Nikisha, do you want to speak to that at all? So, if you have any in additional questions, but I think they have addressed it. And they have, I guess, have a solution that council is
Well, I wasn't, Mayor, I wasn't quite sure. I heard them talk about it, but I'm not quite sure if the entrance is going to be on 207th Street, and is there going to be an exit at another street? That's really my concern, because the area only has an 207th Street at this time.
okay. Nikisha, can you answer that?
I'll have the traffic engineer answer.
Okay. I don't see him anymore.
I'm here.
Adrian.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm here. So we are proposing, and we've worked this through with Miami-Dade County and also with the city on having a secondary access on Northwest 208th Terrace. And that's going to be in conjunction with the Calder property to the north, and also the East Group. And you can see it here on the screen. That's the secondary access on the north side. Here, we can mark it up here. So there is the secondary access that we're proposing in addition to just 207.
And what is the secondary access?
It'll be a full access connection to 27th Avenue from Northwest 208th Terrace. Currently, the only way in and out of the neighborhood is on 207th Street.
So you're saying that you're going to access it from what, the north end of 208th Terrace?
Yes. Can you see the screen?
Yes, I can see it.
So here, let me draw this up. So here's the intersection of 208th Terrace and 27th Avenue. Currently, it only provides access into the Calder property. What we're going to be doing is along that backside of, or on the south side of Calder's property, we'll be tying in this public road that then will have a connection at 25th Avenue to connect into the neighborhood. So you have a second access connection in addition to 207. Because currently you only have 207th here. This is the only way in or out of the neighborhood. So this will be another connection in and out of the neighborhood. And from a traffic standpoint, also with all the residential units in the area, in the morning, the majority of the traffic is headed westbound on 207. So all the traffic in the morning is leaving with congestion occurring on 207. Since this is a warehousing development, you're going to have more traffic entering. So it'll be opposite of the main travel pattern. And same in the afternoon. In the afternoon, when a majority of residents are coming home, the employees at the warehouse will be leaving. So we're not adding to the existing traffic. We're kind of filling in the void in the opposite direction.
But presently, that 208th Terrace, Mr. Mayor, that 208th Terrace, which is a part of Calder's property, you have to bring that unless you're going to open it up, it automatically goes back into 207th Street.
Madam Attorney, I'm trying to think who can best talk about this. The proposal, the manager or Mr. Clay? Mr. Clay, can you describe for them the proposed traffic solution, the moving of the wall and all of that stuff that the parties have agreed to, please?
Yes, Mayor. I don't have access to the gentleman's screen, but if you saw that on the south side of that property there, what you probably could not see there, Councilwoman, is that there is a wall that you're exactly right. If that wall does not come down, it leads you right back to 207th Street. So the plan is for that wall to come down and for that street now to be connected so that it goes all the way through the neighborhood. So that would be the additional entrance and exit that we have been talking about.
And that's what you're proposing to do. Is that what we're saying?
That is that is what has been discussed amongst the county, us here at the city, and all of those development groups that were mentioned earlier: East Group, Calder, and Centerport.
Councilwoman, the proposal gets Calder to donate property, and the other parties, the Dolphins, of the East Group, and Centerport, to donate money, along with the county donating money, and the city is going to build the road. It's called a temporary or resolution because it's not meant to be permanent. Well, it's going to be permanent, but we don't think it's going to be the only thing. What I would suggest when I was going to comment about this stuff, I would suggest at some point the city going forward, as Calder plats out the rest of their property, that you all require roads going north to County Line Road to be as a part of that. So we don't have the ability to do that right now. And so I will be honest, and I know the applicants don't want to hear this because I've met with them. I'm not in love with the project. I think the project is a good project. I'm going to support the project. I think they've been good partners, better partners than most. And I think that they're giving us a way of providing a solution for the residents right now. It will provide some relief. Quite frankly, it does not provide the relief that both Commissioner Jordan and I want. We want to go north to County Line Road. We don't have the ability to do that now, but the city staff, they have a good handle on this. And as Calder comes in, and the remaining people on this dais, because this won't come back before August and you and I'll be gone. The remaining people on this dais and the new folks, it's going to be incumbent on them to pick up the ball and carry it forward. Because ultimately, there's going to have to be some relief for that neighborhood traffic that takes you either the 17th, 27th, 22nd, it takes you somehow north to County Line. Because of the way those apartments are situated back there and the single family homes are situated back there, and we already have the East Group's development right there, it's difficult to do it on the back end. And so we're going to have to figure that out as a city going forward. And that's probably the best explanation. Mr. Manager, we all have been to meetings. Do you have anything to add to that?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. No, I think you covered everything. This is going to be an issue until Calder does other redevelopment on their sites that will open up traffic flow throughout the area. So that's where we are. This is not the best solution, but it's the best solution moving forward so that we can begin to alleviate some of those concerns.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Leon.
Mr. Mayor, based on what you just said, I'm going to support this item because God forbid there's another fire or something down in there, and there's no way for those residents to get out or either get back in. So with that temporary, I'm going to support this item.
All right.
I have a question.
Councilman Wilson?
How many lanes will there be on the roads? 2 lanes, is
I
that?
believe it's 2. I'm going to let them answer, but I believe it's 2.
Okay.
Correct. 2 lanes.
It's 2 lanes and it's 2 lanes on each side going east and west, or is 1 lane going east and 1 lane going west?
1 lane going east, 1 lane going west, 2 total lanes.
Okay, and will there be any modifications to 207? Because that's currently 1 lane going east and 1 lane going west.
No.
We've already extended the turning lane on 207 to relieve the staging or the staggering for that left-hand turn, right, Mr.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Yes.
So we have been doing construction on 207 right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing that stuff.
Okay, so will there be any efforts made to stagger some of the same kind of to mitigate some of the traffic flow or backup, I should say, as they're making left-hand and right-hand turns onto 27th Avenue, both going in and out?
Well, right now is, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
As we design the second entrance and exit, Councilwoman, there will be no left turn coming out of there going south on 27th Avenue. So that is really what causes the backup on 207 south. The one on 208, there is no plan right now to go south because there's no light there right now.
So they will only be able to make a right-hand turn?
Correct.
You can make a left turn there, it's just not signalized.
Councilwoman.
I didn't understand that. What did he say?
Well, hold on, Adrian, while I appreciate that we're all in the comfort of
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, yeah, excuse that.
I'm gonna need you not to speak out in my meeting again, Adrian. I appreciate Councilwoman, what he's saying is it's not signalized. So you're gonna be able to make a left-hand turn there, but there's no traffic signal.
No traffic signal.
So if you come.
Oh, I see, okay.
Left, but there's no traffic signal. So the idea is if people really want to make a left in the morning or when they're coming out, they will go stay on 207. And if they really need to go straight or make a right, they can take 208. It gives them options. So it will help. That and staggering the turning lane, it will help. It will alleviate some of the pressure. It is not a perfect solution.
Right. One more, now, we're not going to build 341 units, right?
No.
Okay, that's, I just want to be clear. Okay, all right.
No.
Mayor?
Mr. Williams, I can hear you, but I can't see you, so I'm just gonna say, go ahead. I got you.
Here. Oh. Have they considered expanding those lanes along 207?
Well,
either 2 lanes going one way or the other?
Yeah, we've considered everything on 207th, and the problem are the houses.
Yeah. So there's no room to put an extra lane nowhere along there?
Yeah, I don't think so. I'll let Ms. Smith speak to that. But I don't think so. We've explored, we've been meeting for over a year on the roads with Commissioner Jordan, trying to fashion a partnership to actually get the land, pay for it, and build it. So we've explored a lot of options. But that's Ms. Smith, you want to talk about the setback, the right of way, whether there's enough room to add lanes there?
The issue is that we're dealing, obviously with an existing condition. There's not really vacant land there. We have residences on both sides, east and west. So that's why we tried to focus more on the north-south access than the east-west.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Williams.
I'm talking about, instead of making that it's a 2-lane highway now, and instead of making it a 4-lane highway, did you consider making it a 3-lane highway? 2 lanes in one direction or the other? to alleviate some traffic.
With a changeable lane, maybe?
Yeah, in addition to the other access on 208.
I don't know that we actually considered that. Mr. Manager?
I don't believe we did. We didn't consider any of that, no. I think we were just trying to find the path that's easiest to get to so that we can get the traffic moving and not have to stack up.
But Mr.
Certainly that's something we could, I mean, I don't know if we can look at that now, but I think we can make adjustments with the new road that they will be building to accommodate some of that.
So, okay, Councilman Williams, that's something that I will bring up to DOT to see if that's a possibility.
Okay.
I know there might be some right-of-way acquisition and stuff that we might have to do, but that's an interesting concept.
Yeah, I know it's not enough room for 4 lanes, but as I think along that corridor, 3 lanes may work.
It may.
Yeah.
It may.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else from the council? Comments or questions?
Just one other comment. I just would like to say that as they are exiting on that road, the new road there, that they allow for them as they're making the right turn on 27th Avenue, merging into the traffic. Because 27th Avenue can be congested. I mean, everybody knows, but when you allow them to only make a right turn and not make a left turn and clog up the street, then we're gonna have another major problem, especially if it's a non-signal road. So that means that it'll just be a stop sign there, right?
Yes, and I don't know whether the county is gonna approve a signal that close to the other signal.
Right, so if they've got a turn, then they can, when they're coming out of there, they can only make a right-hand turn. And if they make a right-hand turn on the 27th Avenue, they've gotta either have a merge lane so that they don't stop traffic, or we probably will have people, you know, not running the stop sign, but having a lot more crashes there. So take a look at how they get onto 27th Avenue, making a right-hand turn, and then subsequently going over 3 to 4 lanes to the next light so that they can make a left and head north.
I got you on that. Mr. Manager, could you have either like Nikisha or Tom or Bernita or somebody take that down as a note, and let's talk that through with Transit County, please.
Sure, I do.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Arroyo, yes.
I just have a question about the entry into the outreach component of the project. I mean, I appreciate the fact that from commentaries, they seem to have given enough thought and action into engaging the community. But from the comments from the Lake Lucerne Crime Watch, I hear that the presenter from the group alluded to many plentiful opportunities they had to meet with the residents in that community. How did they miss that group? I know that that is an active group, the Lake Lucerne Crime Watch. If they didn't meet with them, why not? And moving forward, what is the potential for incorporating their viewpoints and their suggestions into the development of the project?
That was a question to me or the manager?
No, to the group. What if they did? They said they did over 100.
Okay.
More than 100 outreach opportunities.
Mr. Adler, come back on camera. Come back on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that first, I think that there may have been a confusion where I think she was thinking that there might be 341 residential units what we're proposing. There was outreach, and it was mostly done through the Lake Lucerne Civic Association, and Ms. Smith detailed that she did there was outreach to them. But we will undertake between now and the next reading to reach out to her and to have another, and to make sure that we can see if we can address their concerns as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, anything else? I don't think I have anything else. I would just like to say to Brian and Al and Scott, you all have done a lot for the engaged community, but I hate to say this, but I think we require something else. Not something tangible, but we know that going forward, there's going to have to be another way out of this community that's going to head north. And I know we've spoken about this before. We know that we will need you all's participation, the same type of active participation you came to this city and this council for, you know, when in the community, when you were trying to get the approval. We need that same type of active participation when we try to take a road north to County Line Road. I am certain that I will not be on the dais at that time, but also I'm certain that the city exists as an institution in perpetuity. So the institutional knowledge will exist. And I just need you all to commit on the record that you will be active partners in that practice, because we need some northbound relief to County Line Road for those residents. Scott, yes.
Should I be the clerk first?
Yeah. Thank you, Scott, for reminding the clerk.
Okay.
Please state your full name for the record, sir.
Scott Helms.
Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you provide today is true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Do you provide consent for the city to record you as part of this quasi-judicial hearing?
I do.
Thank you. You may proceed.
So, Mayor and Commissioners, first of all, thank you again for hearing us tonight. I think you know that at the very beginning of this, all of our efforts were really focused on a north road access, either 22nd Avenue or 17th Avenue, with everyone's preference being 17th. We hit roadblock after roadblock, including meetings with you all, with the city manager, with the mayor, with Commissioner Jordan. I think we probably met 10 times via phone or in person, trying to figure out a solution. The solution is really temporary, as you said. It's a permanent road, but it's a temporary solution for the access. You know, we would continue to work with the city and the county on the northern access. As you know, there are impact fees that our project will be funding through the county. And those, we should work with the county to make sure those impact fees can be used, whether it's on 207th or if it's on the northern access point.
Okay.
Mayor, before you can go ahead and do the roll call, there's a question Brian emailed me about the second reading. He said they want it for July 22nd. There's a notice that says June 10th. We can figure that tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. The attorney's saying something from me. She's saying do the roll call right now, though. Yes. All right. Let's go ahead and do the roll call on this item.
Councilman Leon.
Yes.
Councilman Williams.
I need you to unmute your phone to say yes.
Yes.
Councilman Iguodaro.
Yes.
Councilwoman Odom.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wilson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris.
I vote yes.
Mayor Gilbert.
Oh, yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, now, second reading on this item is going to be when?
Right now, second reading will come on June 24th, 2020.
So what are we, is that correct, Madam Attorney?
I mean, I don't know, Brian Adler just said he thought it was in July, so that's the question.
June 24th, 2020. Brian Adler, are you on, please?
Yes, if I may be recognized.
Yeah, the party thought it was second reading was a different time.
Yes, if we may, Mr. Mayor. We, right now, the notice had it for June 10th. We would like second reading for a in-person meeting, which we believe the earliest that would be at this time is July 22nd. So if we may be having second reading announced for July 22nd, 2020.
Why July? I mean, the attorney is asking the question why. She doesn't understand. Why July 22nd?
We prefer the second reading to be in person, and we know that June is unlikely to have a second reading in person. So we know that's probably the earliest that you'll have an in-person meeting. We recognize it may not be in person and that we may seek a later date at that time, but we'd like to go ahead and schedule it for July 22nd at this time.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and make the second meeting on this July 22nd. All right. Second reading for this item will be July 22nd. All right, what's next?
There are no items on for a second reading or resolution of public hearing. We're now on to reports.
Mr. Manager.
Mr. Mayor, I have no report.
Madam Attorney.
No report, Mayor.
Mr. Clerk.
No report.
Mr. Iguodaro.
No report.
Ms. Odom.
No report.
Ms. Wilson.
No report.
Mr. Williams.
I have a question. That question is, when are we contemplating in-person meetings? I noticed that the Broward County Commission meets in person. Is there a time frame for that for us?
No, there isn't. And Florida had its largest spike in a couple of days yesterday, so I don't even get that. We haven't been paying attention to, because the glare of the country is on obviously other things, but we haven't been paying attention to it. Florida had its biggest spike yesterday, so in a while. So I don't know, but if it helps you any, Mr. Williams, I really don't like this meeting style. So as soon as practically possible, I would like us to go back to in-person meetings.
Thank you. No report.
Okay. Mr. Leon.
No report.
Mr. Harris.
Mr. Mayor, I don't have a report. I have a question. Getting a lot of phone calls from churches and restaurants asking, when are we considering reopening?
Your question is, when are we considering reopening, or you just want, okay. Restaurants are going to be, have we gotten the notices out of the requirements to the restaurants?
Yes, we have.
Okay, then restaurants, we'll probably send something out for the restaurants tomorrow telling them they can reopen. We're officially reopening them next week, the dining rooms next week. But if they can show they're complying, they can reopen sooner. It's just their ability to comply is going to be the barrier. So we're requiring things like all disposable utensils and cups and certain cleaning things and certain spacing requirements. So those things will have to be complied with, but we're ready on restaurants. We don't talk about churches necessarily. We talk about assembly usages, and we haven't addressed assembly usages yet, but that's next. That's next for us to actually look at. I don't know, what has the county done on assembly uses? Mr. Clay?
They have issued guidance most recently on summer camps and some guidance on that. I don't remember seeing anything specifically related to large gatherings outside of those specific things like summer camps, etc.
Yeah, the most immediate thing that we're going to have to talk about, Mr. Harris, is that whether we are going to allow summer camps to operate.
Right.
And whether we, at some point very soon, we're going to have to make a decision about youth sports in this fall. Because in order for, we are a city-run program. And so in order for us to actually facilitate youth football and cheer, we will have to start spending money sometime soon to order the materials for football and cheer. And so we are looking at that. Quite frankly, it's difficult to understand. We want to see what the county is going to say, but we understand how football and cheer operate on our clubs, and having a way to ensure social distancing in those atmospheres is proving challenging to plan for. And if the manager is going to do that, I suspect that he's going to have to come back and get more money for more staff, because it's going to take a lot more people to enforce social distancing on those parks doing football Saturdays. So we're looking at all of that right now. Immediately, summer camps and youth athletics and assembly usages and restaurants are teed up and ready to go.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No report.
Just a couple of things. You all know that COVID-19 is still real.
Yes.
And so independent of the extraordinary turmoil this country is going through right now, we understand that while we're not paying attention to it and we're not talking about it, we're still in the middle of one of the greatest public health challenges, probably of my lifetime, of our lifetimes. And so the city will operate with that in mind in all of its functions. I, like Mr. Williams, would like to go back to having in-person meetings. I would like for us to go back to having gatherings. I like to go back to that type of human interaction. That doesn't appear to be in the cards for us immediately. And so we will stay the course, as uncomfortable as it is, because it's the right and safe thing for us to do. Yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, you know, the dark cloud that's covering this country right now. You know, we find ourselves responding to the murder of a man in Minnesota with civic unrest that really is the result of pent-up frustrations over the senseless murders of Black men in this country by law enforcement. The city's position is that we will always stand with folks who want to protest peacefully the idea that all men are created equal. The idea that you shouldn't be imposed upon in any special way because of your race or your gender. The idea that you have the same rights that everyone else does. You know, it is a difficult time that we find ourselves in. A lot of the things that people are talking about doing, things like implicit bias training, we did that. Body cameras, we did that before the state required it. You know, diversity in your police department, 13% of officers nationwide are Black, over 50% are Black in this city, because we hire kids from this community. This doesn't mean that there won't be problems. There will always be problems. But as we engage through the Department of Civic Engagement, the idea of what's next, taking this moment and the outrage and transforming it into some type of outcome that's positive, so we don't find ourselves here again. This city will be a part of that. We'll be a part of that because in 2003, we were incorporated as the largest singular voice of Black people in the state of Florida. That is what we are. We are the third largest city in the county. While we are young, we are in fact a force. And we will use our collective voices to champion justice. I appreciate all of you. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion, second.
So it's adjourned. Thank you all. Be safe.
It was smooth enough.